A lot of shocking things, I guess, happened over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but without a doubt, the most shocking thing that I've experienced is the fact that Vinny Tatum got engaged yesterday. So I don't know if I don't know if many of you guys knew about that, but if you know Vinny like I do, it was quite a shock. But nonetheless, always happy when a staff member gets engaged. So we are extremely happy for them. But we're excited to get back on the floor again to play against somebody else. It seems like we've had a lot of practice, with the exception of Kentucky Wesleyan and a couple inter-squad scrimmages. But tomorrow's going to be a really, really good test. It's the great thing about playing Kentucky Wesleyan and Bellarmine each year is you get two completely different styles of basketball, two different styles of preparation. It's going to be a good test. Obviously, Bellarmine returns. I think it's 11 players from last year, a team that, obviously had a great season, as they always do. They're obviously one of the best offensive, passing, shooting teams in Division II, if not the best. So it's going to be a good test for us. It's like I said, it's completely different than the way Kentucky Wesleyan plays, but at the same time, I know our guys are excited about it and looking forward to getting back out there. And it's after tomorrow night. It's on Sunday. It starts to count, so it's a big week for us. I think just consistency for 40 minutes. I thought last week we played about 28 to 30 good minutes of basketball, defensively especially. I've said I think our offense at this time of the year is a little bit further ahead than it has been in years past, which is good. But with that being said, our defense needs to catch up. We had a couple of lapses in the game last week where, we just let them score too easily and those kinds of things that we've tried to shore up. And, tomorrow's going to be tough because the way they play, the way they pass the ball, you got to be alert for the entire 30 seconds of the shot clock. So it's going to be a good test, but, just playing consistent and see if we can put together 40 good minutes of basketball.
Does it play like anybody in the ACC?
Nah, they're a little more up-tempo than a Virginia. Offensively, I would almost compare them more to a Notre Dame type, just a team that doesn't run many sets. It's more just motion. Guys who've played together know how to pass, cut, and move. Obviously year in and year out, they're an extremely high assist team, and it's tough to play against because if you're not prepared for it, if you turn your head, if you fall asleep for 1 second, somebody can cut back door and all of a sudden they got a layup. So it's a tough prep, but I think hopefully having a couple good days of practice and another good day today, we'll be ready to go.
Do you plan on playing with the lineup at all and experimenting with different guys out on the court, or is that kind of done and over with?
No, that's going to be a little bit of a process here for a little while. Ryan, we're still not going to have Ryan tomorrow. He's getting better, but it's just taking time. So he's going to be out tomorrow. But just trying to get our new guys to figure out their role, trying to find our rotation. Like I said, the good news is we have guys who we can put in. We've got plenty of talent on the bench. It's just a matter of guys learning what they need to do from an individual role basis in order to help the team.
Is finding a rotation something you think that will take quite a bit of time?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it's something that each game it could be a little bit different. We might put in a guy who isn't playing well for whatever reason in that game, and all of a sudden we put in someone who we don't expect to really have much of an impact. All of a sudden they come in and do something to help the team. So I think it's just going to be game-by-game basis. Like I've said several times, a lot of it's going to be based on who's practicing well. Certain guys will have a good stretch of practice before a game, and I'll be more apt to put them in a little quicker than normal. So it's just going to kind of be a game-by-game basis.
Do you sense that Honest is more confident?
I think he is, and not only Honest, I think all of our returning guys are, just from gaining another year of college basketball. Honest knows our system. He knows what's expected of him. Same goes with Quentin and Dang and Ray and VJ and Ryan, guys who've all played for us. And, when you're a senior, it's for whatever reason, the game just slows down for you. You know what to do. It's almost like you see the game through the coach's eyes and you know what they want. And it makes it a little bit easier. And, I think they're all just playing confident right now. They're excited to start getting into the game flow. We've had about a little over 5 weeks of practice now, and not that they get tired of practice, but it's just they want to play games, and I think that's just what they're excited about, and getting into that routine where you play a game, have a day off, have 2 days of prep, and play another game, and just kind of getting into that flow.
You have a front court that is obviously going to be a little bit more of that modern front court where they're long and lanky and athletic but skinny. How do you kind of combat maybe some teams down the line you think that'll have 6'10", 250 guys playing around there?
Well, in basketball, there's there's a saying, you have a lot to worry about when you prepare for a team, but at the same time, teams have a lot to worry about preparing for you. Things work both ways. But, Honest has obviously put on a lot of weight and worked hard in the weight room, and as of all of our other guys. But, it's a guy like Ray Spalding, for example. You might look at him, and you can see the change in his physique since he was a freshman. But, don't kid yourself, Ray is extremely strong. He's even last year as an assistant, just when I would have to play defense in individuals or whatnot, I mean, it kind of takes you back how strong he is sometimes. And, Dang and VJ and Dwayne Sutton and those guys, I mean, they're all very strong guys. But, we obviously don't have 280-pound guys who we just throw down on the block and tell them to stay there. And that's not how we've ever played. But, our guys are mobile. They can do different things. They can guard different positions. So it's just a matter of putting them in a position to be successful, to help the team be successful.
Do you have any go-to stats when you're looking at your team, analytics stats or traditional stats that can help you judge who's playing well?
We do a plus-minus system that's not your typical NBA plus-minus system, for example. In the NBA, they do, as far as I know, the plus-minus is based on what the score is when you enter the game and then what the score is when you leave the game. And to me, that's not a great gauge because at the same time, there's 4 other players you're playing with that have an impact. So our plus-minus is more individual stat-based. There's things for positives, there's things for negatives. And some of the negatives are a little bit more non-traditional. What I mean by that is, a missed block out, or what we call a blow-by, where someone beats you off the bounce too easily, or messing up a defensive assignment, those kinds of things. And we take all that into account. But, that stuff's important, but at the same time, I think it just goes back to having a feel on when guys are in the game, are they impacting the game in a positive way? And, watching the tape obviously helps with that too. But we rely on analytics a little bit, but, also just kind of the feel of who's helping and who's not.
How much contact have you had with Brian Bowen, and what would you tell him at this point?
I've seen Brian several times. He's allowed to come in the building and go to study hall and do that kind of things and say hello to him. But other than that, we haven't had much contact. Every time I've seen him, his spirits have seemed fine. But, it's just, we've kind of just let him do what he's supposed to do, and we're just doing what we're supposed to do. So we haven't had a whole lot of communication about anything else.
Do you have any sense for his chances of regaining eligibility?
I don't. I don't want to play the speculation game. I don't want to say, it would be purely speculation for me at this point to say anything one way or another, and that wouldn't be fair to Brian, and that wouldn't be fair to our program. My focus has been on our 14 players. If and when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it at that point. But right now, our focus is on our 14 players.
What has been the message to, you mentioned earlier the rebounding for the wings. Dwayne obviously did it at a high rate at Asheville, but with Dang and VJ, what is the lesson that you can kind of hammer home to them about coming in and helping defense rebound?
Well, I think Donovan, actually, of all people, is a good example for them to look at because he was a pretty good rebounding guard, and I think that was a big reason why there was so much intrigue with him from a professional standpoint, was because he did other things besides score the ball. Now, obviously, he's been scoring pretty well lately in their games, but he does other things. He rebounds, he gets steals, he gets assists. And if you're 6'7", 6'6", like Dang and VJ are tall and long like that, you got to be able to rebound the ball, especially at your position. And our system is so much that if one of those guys gets the rebound, I mean, I give them ultimate freedom to bring the ball up the court and run it in transition. They don't have to get the ball to Quentin or Darius, whoever it might be. So, it's something that rebounding is a stat that guys need to be selfish about, because it's something that will help them get to the next level ultimately, especially our big guys, but even our wings. I mean, if you see a defensive rebound come off the rim, you need to be selfish about it and go get it and pursue it.
What about the leadership of this team? Because you got guys, Quentin's not the most vocal guy, or hasn't been in his career, and honestly, in that way. Are those guys stepping up like you want?
And then some. Even since the very first day of practice, those guys have been incredible. They've been very vocal. VJ has even gotten better as far as leadership goes. Quentin's talking more than he ever has here. He's every play, and Dang Adele especially. Coaches were talking this morning. Just even when we split up the teams, or if we're doing 3-on-3, 4-on-4 drills, whatever team he's on is usually the team that wins because he's so vocal on the court. I mean, he doesn't take a possession off from talking. I mean, it's every single possession. He's on the ball, he's off the ball, he's always talking, and we're trying to get the rest of the guys to meet that, and they're getting there. But talking talking is a skill that has to be learned, especially when you get fatigued, because that's the first thing that goes when you get tired is you're talking, and you got to learn how to talk when you get tired. But our returning veteran leadership has been absolutely incredible. I think our freshmen would even agree with that, and they know how important it is. They remember, like I've said before, when Quentin and Honest were young, and when Dang and Ray were young, and Damien and Trey were here. Just they saw their leadership, and I think it rubbed off on them in a really positive way.
What type of relationship do you have with Coach Scott Davenport?
Coach Davenport was the ops guy my first year here, the 2005 Final Four year. He and I got to know each other very well. Obviously, I know his son Doug very well. We were here together on staff for a couple years before he went to Eastern Kentucky. And, I've known him for a long time. Great people. Obviously, he's done an unbelievable job with that program. I mean, year in, year out, they're in the Elite Eight or, Final Four, if not winning a championship, which he's done. So, we've been close for a long time, and, I just really admire the job that they do.
Anything else, David?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.